with each and every one of these passing international windows comes an opportunity for us to see this men's national team as it progresses and as it, I guess, hopefully evolves into something for all of us to be excited about and proud about, a team that will make us believe as it goes into not just 2026, but over the next 2.5 years getting to 2026, including next summer in terms of Copa America. We talked a little bit about it. We want to kind of dive in on what this particular window offers for a number of different reasons, not the least of which they're actually playing some competition. And I think a lot of people who have been critical about the opponents will look and say, games against Germany and Ghana, okay, good. This is something where we can test ourselves and be critical if necessary, about what this team is and about what this team isn't. In general, Stu, how do you see this window playing out?
I genuinely feel that this is kind of the real beginning of the next cycle because of what has happened over the last, 9-10 months. And without getting into that, we all know all the things that happened and Greg Berhalter being to this point and the Gio Reyna stuff and yada, yada, yada. I feel like this is going to be the first time that I'm going into a window. It's not Oman. It's not Uzbekistan. It's Germany. It's Ghana. It's real competition. It's against a German team that's got their backs against the walls a little bit and trying to find their identity, new coach. So I think they're going to be as motivated as they have been, even though this is a friendly and, they're playing friendlies much like the U.S. are with regards to the 26 because they're hosting the Euros next year on home soil. So there's a lot of pressure. So I'm excited to finally see now Greg Berhalter on the field with his team against a top European opponent. And I think to give us a data point of where this team can be. This has to be said, though, within context. We're going to draw so many conclusions from this because we just don't get that many chances now, right? And that's the reality of the situation. Copa America is going to feel like a World Cup next summer for the U.S. because we're like, hey, we have some actual competition in some real meaningful situations. So now, we have to take what we can from these friendlies. So you should absolutely expect and want to see a good performance from the U.S. You want to see them control periods of the game. You want to see them be dangerous in front of goal. All these things that we continually ask, can they do against top level opponents? And I don't care what Germany's done in the last, couple of months that led to Hansi Flick being fired. It's still Germany. Look at their team. They're stacked. So I'm excited to see what comes of this window.
We're excited about it. There are some in Germany that are puzzled as to why a team preparing for the Euros in Germany would schedule 2 games in the United States against CONCACAF opposition, but that's a conversation for another day. You mentioned Gio Reyna. He's in the squad. He's only played 25 minutes or so in the last several months. He finally made his season debut for Dortmund this past weekend against Union Berlin. Greg Berhalter called him up anyway. I said on the last pod, I think Berhalter just wants to rip the Band-Aid off and put this whole situation to rest. Is that how you see it? And if so, do you think it was the right move?
So I do think it's the right move. I was slightly disappointed to hear that their first meeting was over Zoom. I think what transpired and how they got to that point, I do think that was one that probably deserved an in-person meeting and you could maybe parlayed that in a trip and seeing a couple of other players. Regardless, I actually think that Greg is making the right move here because it's also a bit of he's got his arm around Gio in a way because Gio, I don't think based on performances, certainly not from going back to June, has warranted a call up. Because as you said, he's played 24 minutes in now, 4 months-ish. And so I think this is an opportunity for Gio to get a change of scenery away from Dortmund, back in with the national team, back into a happy place where I think he can be in and amongst the group. And you do need a Gio Reyna back integrated into the group in a way that is motivated and that he can contribute. I don't think you're going to see him start either game. I don't think he's clearly not match fit, not 90-minute match fit, but I think he's a guy that can be an impact player off the bench. But also now you get a chance where you have an opportunity in person to have multiple meetings if needed. And then for Gio to say, hey, how's this scenario going to be for me now under Greg? What's the dynamic going to be like? What's the relationship going to be like? So it's a mix of ripping the Band-Aid, but also I think some good coaching and a good recognition of the moment and an opportunity to use this where Gio's not in the best spot in his club career, injury, physically, everything. And let's try to keep moving him along and get him back to his best.
You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops every week. Subscribe now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops twice a week right here on my very own YouTube page. The only way to stay up to date is to hit that subscribe button down below. Size the day, and see you soon.